Hello everyone, I'm Simon here for the Aether Hub, bringing you more Magic the Gathering lore, gameplay, and deck techs. Yes, you Arena fans out there, there is a story to this game, and if you're just figuring that out, hey, the Aether Hub's the perfect place to start your Vorthos journey. However, today, we'll be examining a budget deck tech for Arena players that can help you climb the ladder on the cheap. I think everyone sort of agrees that on Arena it feels kind of bad to build a deck that you may love playing but just can't get wins with in ranked, and yeah, that's kind of Magic in a nutshell though. So it still stinks playing for maybe 6+ mythics or 10+ rares on a deck that just won't make any moves. That's why we're highlighting decks that can win on Arena with just a relatively low investment, and today's deck, well, you can't get much cheaper than this. It's Mono Red. I'm sure you've seen versions of this deck in your own gameplay, and they can vary in degrees with different cards included. Burn, aggro, annoying ass Phoenix, whatever you want to add to it, it's all Mono Red. However, for today's video, we're cooking up the cheapest version of this deck that anyone can just start playing with right away and actually get some wins with it. Let's take a look at budget Mono Red for MTG Arena Standard Ravnica Allegiance. And right before we begin, I just wanted to let everyone know that the Hub's doing a Patreon Blitz right now. Times are getting kinda hard and we need to get to a certain threshold of patrons in order to secure the channel's longevity. Now, we aren't asking you for support for nothing. Right now, we are giving away signed cards, rares, and mythics at all levels, and all new patrons will get a signed Aether Hub card for their first month. Top supporters will also get an Aether bundle, themed signed cards, along with other perks. Please just take the time to check out all those great benefits. Patreon linked in the description below. And now, onto the deck. As you've probably seen so many iterations of this deck, I'll just quickly mention the burn aspect that is fairly commonplace. These are quick, cheap burn spells that can either remove an opponent's annoying threat or just burn their face off, leading to another quick win. Again, different versions of this deck include a wide range of these cards, but you'll find these more often than not. So yeah, we're going with full playsets of Shock, Lightning Strike, Skewer the Critics, and Wizard's Lightning. I hope these specific cards are fairly self-explanatory. Skewer the Critics, the newest include in terms of burn from Ravnica Allegiance, is just another insane way to deal damage right to our opponent's face. With Spectacle, of course, the way all decks work, basically. Spectacle should be pretty easy to pull off, which makes it, again, a very well-costed spell. We also, in this deck, added 2 copies of Lava Coil. True, it doesn't hit the face, so Mono Red purists out there are going to be a little upset, but it's great damage to clear the way of annoying creatures on our opponent's side. Just think of some annoying lifelink or blockers you can remove with this spell. Collectively, these cards alone can burn our opponents into defeat, but they're not the only tools we have to play with. Much to the aggro side of this deck, we have a fair number of great cheap creatures to help balance our deck just a bit, but still with the overarching theme of winning as soon as possible. This includes 4 copies of Fanatical Firebrand, Ghitu Lavarunner, Viashino Pyromancer, and Goblin Chainwhirler. All of these creatures share the quality of speed, either having haste or the ability to do damage to the opponent's face. In the case of Goblin Chainwhirler, who was so overpowered at points that people demanded its ban, it can literally wipe out an opponent's board should you see some kind of token deck, for example. However, all these creatures basically fit the bill of cheap, fast, and efficient. Also, let's note that we want wizards like Lavarunner and Pyromancer to make Wizard's Lightning cheaper. Again, another great benefit. So far, pretty bog standard, right? Now let's move into the cards that kinda take this deck to the next level. Again, these are new additions from Ravnica Allegiance, and they really help push this deck to a real contender. First, let's look at Light Up the Stage. This uncommon with Spectacle allows us to basically dig through our deck in a way we really haven't seen in mono red decks before. Draw and mono red decks really don't play with each other very often, but here, although not technically draw, you have a great way to get more gas. Mono red has always had an issue with playing into an empty hand. You blow everything you have on the first few turns and you lose the game. Light Up the Stage gives us a way to continue the pummeling. For only 1 mana with Spectacle, of course, we get to play with 2 cards from the top of our deck for the next 2 turns. This is so good and has proven itself a useful tool in this deck. Again, it may not draw, but it's pretty damn close, and it gives us the extra shock or skewer we need to steal a game. And finally, one of the most surprising cards, at least for me, in how good it turned out to be, 2 copies of Experimental Frenzy. Not gonna lie here, guys. When I saw this, I kinda recoiled a bit and thought it was pretty trash. But it's only bad some of the time. As the most expensive card in our deck at 4 mana, it allows us to play cards from the top of our library, but nowhere else. Again, helping us to keep a full hand, sort of, when we kinda exhaust ourselves. The way the card works is that the top of our library becomes our hand, and you can play the top card from it, including laying down a land. This means that you can loop into some powerful turns where you can chain shock one after another before dropping a lightning to the face, you know, keep it going. And it just keeps going and going until you're home. Of course, playing it with a stacked hand or even one with favorable cards in it could be counterproductive, and you can always run into those draws, you know, where the top 2 cards of your library are lands or something, and you basically lose an entire turn. So yeah, there is a dangerous side to it. Still, those downsides are minor compared to how you can go off on an opponent with this card. It's certainly been a unique and fun addition to mono red. And that, you guys, is our mono red deck on a budget for MTG Arena Ravnica Allegiance. In total, this deck has its highest mana cost at 4 with a maximum of 6 rare wildcards used. No matter how you slice it, mono red and Ravnica Allegiance is cheap. Sure, you can get fancy, but at its base, it's a simple, quick, efficient, and value deck to run that can still grab wins in the ranked climb of MTG Arena. Of course, like all decks, mono red can have its tougher matchups, opponents that can gain control of the board early, counter key cards, or just outrace us in terms of life gain will always be a problem. However, with this deck's speed, you can beat Control and even Nexus decks, provided that you have the tools to end the match quickly. Regardless, you won't lose much in trying this one out, so we recommend it to all new players on Arena. If you're interested in seeing how this deck actually plays in gameplay on Arena, make sure you check out the gameplay video linked in the description below or found at the end of the video. The gameplay is from Jason, a contributor for the Aether Hub, and he takes this deck through a variety of opponents so you can see how it hashes out. We'd also like to remind you guys that we're doing a Patreon Blitz right now with all new rewards for those looking to join the Vorthos army. We have key cards going to our patrons at all levels, with the highest supporters getting an Aether bundle, themed signed cards, with other incentives added in there as well. We really need to get this channel to a certain number of supporters to support its growth, so we're going hard in the rewards department. Make sure you check it out in the link description below. Besides supporting us on Patreon, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you're notified when our new videos drop. Sharing it with friends is also greatly appreciated. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. I'm Simon, and I'll see you next time here on the Aether Hub. See ya!